Kuzu Zangpo, welcome to the e-learning project. I'm Sonam Zangmo from Drugel Center School. Today's lesson is on economics and the topic we have is circular flow of income. This is for key stage 4 and 5. In other words, is for classes 9 through 12. So today what we're going to be looking at is, we're going to be looking at circular flow of income, what it is, how it operates, and why certain activities happen in the circular flow of income. To begin with, first and foremost, let's look at the objectives, the lesson objectives of circular flow of income. So in this particular lesson, what we are going to be looking at is define circular flow of income, followed by differentiating real flow from money flow, and also critically examining the interdependence amongst various sectors of an economy for it to operate successfully or in a healthy manner. And finally, we are also going to be looking at some diagrams of circular flow of income with different models, because we have different circular flow of income with different sectors, and each model is different from one another, not so far away, however they differ. So let's go ahead. First and foremost, let's look at what is circular flow of income. Now you have to be mindful, because I have abbreviated the circular flow of income as CFI. So hereafter I would be using CFI, which you have to be in your mind as circular flow of income. And so what is circular flow of income? So if you look at the definition of circular flow of income, if you look at the word circular, it just says that something is going in circles. So how it's going in circles and what actually is going in circles, we are going to look at it. CFI, it is the unending flows of production of goods and services, income and expenditure in an economy. So what is happening is there is unending, meaning it never stops, it doesn't stop. So something is in a movement, is in a flow. Flow means is a movement, you know, there is a movement. What is there in the movement is flows of production of goods and services. So the production of goods and services are non-stop, unending, it's going on and on and on, and also followed by the production of goods and services, income too is following the flow, meaning it is also going in circles. The next one, you can understand what circular flow of income is. In another word, you can say it's payments and receipts for goods and services between different sectors of the economy. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be looking at different sectors, all right? So when we look at those sectors, it will be better to understand what actually are those sectors and what is happening. For now, to understand CFI, it is payment. Somebody is paying somebody, and when somebody is paying somebody, somebody will be at the receiving end. So that's why receipt. Payment, paying the money, paying the income. Receipt, somebody is receiving the income or the money. So that's payments and receipt. There are certain words, if you look at this particular slide, like payments and receipt, and if you go to the first line, some of the words are written with different shades, all right? So the different shades, okay, in particular represents, or it is telling us to be aware that these are the key words. So in the second line, payment and receipts, these three words are highlighted in red, all right, or written in red, because these are the key words. So CFI is payments and receipts, all right? Thus, what is circular flow of income? Circular is going in circles, going in a circular motion. Flow is the movement of income, that's the monetary remuneration. So that is the definition of circular flow of income. Let's just recall, what is circular flow of income? It is an unending flow of goods and services and income in different sectors, or it is the payments and receipts for the different goods and services. That's circular flow of income. All right, let's move ahead then. Factors of production or factor services. Here, the factors of production are the key concepts in the study of circular flow of income. That's why we need to study the factors of production or the factor services. So what are factors of production or factor services? If you look at the word production, factors of production, all right? Factors of production. So these are the factors that we're going to be using when we produce goods and services, without which we may not be able to produce the goods and services. Or factor services. So these are services. So we will look at each factors of production. So the first one is land. I purposely put a question mark because I want a small quiz, okay, right now. And I want to ask you, what do you understand by land? What is land? All right. Yes, some of you got it right. Absolutely. Land means all the natural resources in the world, or in other words, land implies or indicates those factors of production which are not created or manufactured by man. So the minerals, the rivers, the trees, all right, unless you planted the tree, it becomes a natural resources. And the second one is labor. So what is labor? When we talk about labor, here you again have to be mindful, because when we generally talk about labor, people commonly understand it as somebody who is working, but in the study of economics, you can break it down into mental or physical effort. So when somebody uses their mental effort, like for example, if you talk about a teacher uses 50-50 or both mental and physical, because if I'm not in the class, I won't be able to teach. I have to think about my lesson before I deliver my lesson. So that's why a labor would be either using their body, okay, the physical effort, that's the body, your strength, your energy in the production of goods and services, or your mental effort, your IQ, your knowledge, your skills, all this. So a labor is somebody who either uses mental or physical effort or uses both. Let's go on to capital. What is capital? By capital, these are in essence or in particular manufactured goods, okay, by man. Or in other words, in economics, capital also refers to money. All right, so that's capital. And then finally we have enterprise or organizational skills or knowledge. So I put or because I want you to know these are synonyms, okay. Some of you may think, all right, so I just have to put enterprise. No. The synonym for enterprise is organizational skills, or the knowledge, the know-how about the production you are doing. So these are altogether factors of production, meaning these are the 4 factors we have to use when we produce goods and services. Let's look at this. Yes, so what's L square CE? If you look at the factors here, land, labor, 2 L's, all right? And then capital C, you have C there, and then E, enterprise. So that's how you can remember L square CE is the abbreviation of the 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprise or entrepreneur. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is factor earning. Now, we need to understand that factors of production should be there in the study of circular flow of income. So what are the factors of production? So we looked at that, L square CE. Now, we have to understand what are factor earnings, all right? So factor earnings are basically remunerations or reward for the factors of production. So the reward for L square CE, rent. For which factor do we pay rent? Is the land, all right? Wage, for whom do we pay the wage? Is the labor. For what do we pay interest? It's the capital. And who will earn or who will generate profit is the entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is the person. Enterprise is the knowledge or the skill that the person will carry, or the organizational skill. So these are the factor earnings. I hope you got it. All right. Before we actually move on to the next slide, we have this WRIP, W-R-I-P, all right? And so what is this? Again, this is the abbreviated form of factor earning. W for wage, R for rent, I for interest, and P for profit. Let's move on with the next slide then. Next, we will look at the circular flow of income models. So I already mentioned that we have different models of circular flow of income. So how many are there? We're going to look at it now, all right? We have basically 3 models of circular flow of income. The first one is 2-sector model with capital market. We also have a 3-sector model which has the firms, household, and the government. And finally, we are going to look at 4-sector model that will consist of the firms, households, government, and the rest of the world. So these are the models of circular flow of income. 3 models of circular flow of income. The first one we are going to be looking at is the 2-sector CFI. And in the 2-sector CFI, the 2-sector represents here the households and the business firms. And so here The assumption is that this is a closed economy because we just have two sectors without any other sector, which means if you look at this diagram here, on the left hand side we have the households and on the right hand side we have the business firms. Now what is happening here, because in the beginning of this lesson one of the lesson objectives was to find out the interaction between the different sectors in an economy. So here what will the household do is, first and foremost, the household is going to be supplying the L square CE, that's land, labor, capital and enterprise or entrepreneurship, to the household, in return for which the business firm will have to pay the remuneration, that is reward, or the price for the land, labor, capital and enterprise, which is RIP, wages, rent, interest and profit, as factor payments to the household. Then what will the firms do with the factors of production or the factor services is, the firms will produce the with the help of the factors of production, that's L square CE, the firms will produce goods and services which will outflow, which will flow to the household, in return for which the household needs to pay the price for the goods and services they will consume in the name of consumption expenditure. So here what you see is, without any disturbances or disruptions here, what is happening is household will supply factors of production to the business firm will produce the goods and services which will go to the household will consume the goods and services by paying the factor remunerations, rent, wage and interest, and profit. And so this is the simplest form of circular flow of income, and this is a circular flow of income that is the basic, the most simplest of the circular flow of income, and whatever the household earns in return for the factor services, it will go back, 100% of whatever the household earns as factor earning will go back, assumption is it will go back to the business firm in the form of consumption expenditure. Then again, in line with this, one of the things you have to make note here is we have two concepts here, the rail flow and money flow. What is rail flow? Rail flow is the outer circle, you know. From the household, land, labor, capital and enterprise will go to the business firms, and the business firms will produce the goods and services which will be supplied to the household. That is known as rail flow. By rail flow, what we are saying is a flow in kind, okay? Because we also have money flow. What is money flow then? Money flow is the inner circle, okay? So the inner circle or the inner line, what does it represent is when the business firms pay the money or the remuneration or reward for the factor services to the household, that comes back in the form of money, rent, wage, interest and profit. And then another inner circle here is the consumption expenditure. The money which has come to the household now will go back to the business firm. 100% of what comes into the household is assumed to be going back to the business firm. And so we say that the rail flow is represented by the outer circle and the money flow is represented by factor earning and consumption expenditure. So money flow and rail flow, very simple to remember. When money goes from business firm to household and household to business firm, that is money flow, which generally is represented as the inner circle. The rail flow is the flow of goods and services and the factor services. Household, land, labor, capital, enterprise going to business firm, and from the business firm the production or the supply of goods and services going back to the household. So this is the simplest or the basic, most basic circular flow of income to start with, and this is the first model. Let's go ahead and look at another model. We have three-sector model of circular flow of income, and in the three-sector model of circular flow of income, new thing you can see is it's clearly reflected here in the diagram here is the government. The government is the new sector. Again, before we move further, what you need to remember is that this is another example of closed economy. because here it's just the business firms, household and the government. So this is another example of closed economy, because the country apparently doesn't have any multilateral or bilateral trade relationship with the other countries. Okay? So whatever economic interactions are happening, it's just between government and household, business firms and the government. We will not touch the inner circle. We will first look at what happens with the addition of another circle, that's the government sector. What is the role of the government here, or the relationship between government and household, government and business firm? If you look at the arrows, the first one is the arrow coming from the government to the household. What is the government doing? Government is obviously paying wages and salaries or factor payment, in other words, to the household. In addition to which, what you need to understand is also government pays the transfer payments. What are the transfer payments? Transfer payments are one-way payment or unilateral payment, which means it is just one way. Government gives pension to people who have retired from the civil service, and also government provides scholarships to students of their country. So these are basically termed as transfer payments. Also unemployment compensations. So people who do not have job, if government tries to, or government is giving some monetary income or income to these people, that will also fall under transfer payment. So what you need to understand, government not only pays the factor payments, that's the wages and salaries, to the household, government also gives transfer payment to the household. Then what is the household doing? The household will pay the taxes to the government. Okay? So in simple, although it's written as net tax payments here, what you need to remember is the household have to pay taxes to the government, because taxes are one of the sources of revenue for the government to develop the country or to facilitate infrastructure facilities or development of infrastructure facilities in the country. All right? So this is the relationship between government and household. Now let's look at what is the relationship between government and business firms or business sector. So what is the government doing? First of all, government is purchasing goods and services from the business firm, because government alone cannot suffice the need or the production of their own goods and services. So government definitely need to purchase or consume goods and services produced by the private sector as well, and so that's why business firms here. All right? In addition to which, government will also provide subsidies. It's not transfer payment and subsidies are not written here, okay? But then you need to understand, government also grants subsidies to the business firms. And when is a subsidy granted? Subsidies are granted when government wants or government feels that this particular economic activity is good for economy, it can bring about more development, it can touch lives of many citizens for a better reason, for a meaningful purpose. Government will provide subsidies, and subsidies in the form of tax discount or evasion of tax, meaning if a company or a firm is producing something good for the economy. So let's talk about the production of bamboo products in Jiamgang. So they need not have to pay the tax, and why they need not have to pay the tax? Because it's good for the economy. There is creation of employment opportunity, and also it's going to make the lives of the people better. So in such an situation, government will provide subsidies even to the business firm. Now, in return for all this, what is the business firm doing? Again, the business firm needs to pay tax to the government, because one of the sources of revenue or income for the government is collection of taxes from its citizen. And so business firms pay taxes in the form of BIT, business income tax, okay, and also sales tax and excise duty. So these are the kind of taxes that the business firm will pay to the government. Now finally, with this three-sector model, what you need to remember is the equilibrium point for this three-sector model is saving plus taxes should be equivalent to government expenditure and investment. So this is the equilibrium point. One more thing here. Now, if you look at the household savings and investment, what is the household doing? Whatever income it is receiving, it will save in the financial institutions or financial market, which will be borrowed by the business firms. So here, the savings by the household would be called as leakages, because whatever income has been received by this, some part of this is being saved here, and then whatever the business firms are borrowing from the financial institution, this is an injection to the economy. So what is an injection? What is a leakage? Leakage means when there is a, when the flow, when there is a disruption to the flow. For example, business firm pays 100,000 to the household as a factor payment. But then when the consumption expenditure incurs, if it is only like let's say 5,000, what will happen is 500,000 is missing. And where did that go? That has been saved here. So what is leakage? Leakage is the entire money that comes here. If it doesn't go back in the form of consumption expenditure to the business firm, that is called as leakage. But one of the good things here is that when it reaches the financial market, what happens is the financial market doesn't keep the money to itself. It will lend it to the entrepreneurs, okay? And then what will they do is they will create or they will develop investment. So which means it's good for the economy. So injection means giving back to the economy or making the economy good. And leakages means there is a disruption to the flow. The entire money doesn't go back to the source where it has originated. All right, let's move on with the next one. The next one is a modern economy and is a 4-sector model. So here what is happening is one more sector has come. Can you guess which sector is that? Which sector? Is the rest of the world, okay? The rest of the world here can also be known as a foreign sector. Now what does it mean? Because we already talked about the 3-sector model, household, government and firms. We talked about that. We are not really going to be touching on that. We will take care of what is the relationship between household, firms and the rest of the world, or rest of the world and the household, rest of the world and the firms. What is the relationship? So if you look at this, what is the outer arrow saying? The outer arrow is saying that the household will incur payments for import. You know, by the international trade norms, we cannot sustain or survive on our own. We need to exchange goods and services, because whatever goods and services one needs, we cannot produce it. That's a fact. The fact being that what we do is households will incur leakages. And what is leakage? Money going out of the household to the international market for consumption purposes or for consumption expenditure. However, what will happen in return is that you know it, all right? A lot of businesses are in Australia, America, Canada, Germany, all over the world. And what are they doing is they are sending back home money, which is known as remittance, all right? So that is factor income from abroad, net factor income from abroad. That's what we learn in the study of national income. But here is simply written for our better understanding as factor income. And factor income from where? Factor income from abroad, because rest of the world is not Bhutan. Rest of the world is talking about any other country other than Bhutan. So that is injection, because when money comes to Bhutan, it's good for Bhutan, right? So that's injection. Leakage is not good in comparison to injection. That's the relationship with rest of the world and household. Now let's look at relationship between rest of the world and business firms. What is their relationship? Again, here, all the firms, okay, whether you are in a developed nation or a developing nation or underdeveloped nation, what we need to do is, by the norm of international trade, we are dependent on each other because we cannot produce all the goods and services that we need. So what we are doing is, the firms will also need to import. In particular, what will the firms import? Do you think they will import consumer goods? No, they will import goods from factor market, okay? Meaning they will import raw materials, they will import capital goods from the rest of the world, for which the firms will incur payment for import, which is a leakage because money is going out of the firm. In return for which firms are to produce goods and services, remember that. So when firms produce goods and services, what is happening is they will produce the goods and services and export it to the rest of the world. So in return for the export, they will also receive income, or it is in short known as receipts, which is reflected here as injection. All right. These are the relationships between the different sectors. So altogether, if you have a look at this diagram at once, first and foremost, what you need to see, you need to understand the 4 sectors: household, government, firm, and rest of the world. You also need to understand their relationship. So we already talked about this. If you want, you can have a look at this again. Now, what is the equilibrium point in this 4 sector model, or this is known as an open economy, because we are open to the rest of the world. All right. Now, the point of equilibrium here is savings plus taxes plus imports, okay, should be equivalent to investment plus government expenditure and transfer and exports from the country. In short, leakages should be equivalent to injection. Right now, let me ask you this. What do you think is the situation of Bhutan? Are leakages more or injections? What do you think? Okay, think about this. This is a food for thought for you right now. Let's move ahead then. Why CFI? Why do we have to study the circular flow of income? What is the importance of circular flow of income in our economy? Okay, so let's see. These are the 3 important reasons why we should study CFI. It shows the interdependence and interrelatedness of the different sectors in the economy. That's the first and the foremost. It shows the relationship between different sectors. Like we went on discussing, what is the relationship between government and household? Government and business firm, government, business firm and rest of the world and household. So those relationships, why is it important, okay? And how are they related? The next one is, we can estimate NY. NY is the abbreviation of national income. National, NY in economics generally represents income. Can estimate national income with the help of income, expenditure, and output phase of circular flow of income. So we can calculate, we can estimate, we can do the calculation of national income. Last, okay, could identify the causes of disequilibrium and assist to focus on ways and means to restore the position of disequilibrium. Because we learned leakages and injections. If import is more than export, what could happen? There is leakage, all right? If there is more saving, okay, with less investment, what could happen is, it is going to cause disequilibrium, because when we looked at the diagram earlier, they have their own point of equilibrium. So if there is something which is not which does not flow well, we can understand, oh, there is a problem. If import is more than export, what is happening? If there is less remittance, okay, what could happen? So in order to check, or in order to correct all this and bring about the economy in equilibrium, the study of CFI is very crucial for everyone, in particular all the economic students, all right? Then we come to the assessment. The first one I have for you here is a MCQ, multiple choice, okay, question. What are the factors of production? Is it you and me alone? Let's see, labor and investment, investment and capital, land, labor and capital, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. What is it? All right, it's D, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. That's the answer. All right. The second assessment we are going to be looking at is the circular flow of income is made up of continuous interaction of which groups? You know, how many groups, how many models did we study? Okay, so which group? So is it the first one, A, workers, government, and transportation? Do you think that's the answer? Or the second one, households, government, and businesses, and the rest of the world? Which one? All right. Or the last second, homeowners, business owners, and car dealers? Do you think so? Last one, factories, farmers, and workers. Which one? Is B, the second one, household, government, business, and business firms, and the rest of the world. All right. This is coming to the end of our lesson. So we learned what it means by circular flow of income. We also learned different sectors of the economy. What are the different sectors? Recall, reflect, okay? Differences between real flow and money flow. What is real flow? What is money flow? How are they different, all right? Circular flow of income in 2 sector and 4 sector models with diagram. Did we learn that? Yes, we did. Now, reflections. So, the first reflection, this is an assignment to you. You need to jot it down in your notebooks, okay? And you need to answer this. Do you think it's relevant for the government to go into production of goods and services? validate your answer or views. The private sectors are going into the production of goods and services. And government is also going into the production of goods and services because they are buying. Remember, they were buying factory services from household. Do you think it's necessary for the government to do that? Why? Validate your answers or your views. All right. The second one is differentiate between a closed economy and an open economy. So what is the difference? All right. What would happen to the circular flow of income of a nation's economy if the nation opened up to more international trade? What will happen if Bhutan signed bilateral and multilateral trade relationship with the rest of the countries with which Bhutan has never initiated trade relationship? Is it going to be good for the economy or is it going to be bad for the economy? All right. Then would it be wise for Bhutan to remain as a closed economy or open economy? Justify your stand with 3 reasons. Right now, where are we? Are we in a closed economy or an open economy? First, answer that. Then, is it good to be in an open economy? Relate this with WTO. All right? Why are we not with WTO? Why are we not a member of WTO? Is it good? Is it bad? All right? Or should we remain like this forever? And the last one is, which sector do you think is the most important and how is this sector important? So this you can relate with the 4-sector model or the open economy, okay? And there you can talk about, well, there are 4 sectors: household, firms, government, and rest of the world. 4 sectors are equally important, but I want you to take this opportunity to choose a sector and you have to tell why and how you think it's important, all right? And then with this, I have come to the end of the lesson for today. So the food for thought is, every day is a new beginning. Take a deep breath, smile, and start again. With this, thank you so much for being with me. Please wash your hands, stay at home, and be safe. Thank you.